Welcome back to Coins Numismatic Series, where we uncover the hidden stories and surprising values behind the coins you handle every day. Now, hold on to your coin flips, because today we're diving into a coin that often slips under the radar, but once you understand its background, symbolism, and collectible importance, you'll never look at it the same way again. I'm talking about the 2017 Effigy Mounds State Quarter, a piece that blends natural beauty, ancient human history, and numismatic intrigue into one small but mighty coin. The 2017 Effigy Mounds Quarter represents Iowa in the America the Beautiful Quarters program, a follow-up to the wildly popular 50 State Quarter series. The program ran from 2010 through 2021 and celebrated national parks, forests, and historic sites across the United States. Each design offered a glimpse into America's landscapes and legacies, and Iowa's entry, Effigy Mounds National Monument, was among the most spiritually and historically significant designs of the entire series. Before we explore what makes this coin rare or valuable, let's appreciate the story behind the monument itself. Effigy Mounds National Monument, located in the northeast corner of Iowa near the Mississippi River, preserves more than 200 prehistoric mounds built by indigenous peoples, some shaped like animals such as bears and birds. These mounds were created by Native American cultures more than 1,000 years ago, primarily during the late woodland period. The shapes weren't random or decorative, they held deep spiritual meaning, connecting people, land, and sky. The reverse of the quarter captures that breathtaking view from above, three bear-shaped mounds gently rising from the landscape, with a bird-shaped mound in the distance. The design is powerful in its simplicity, a tribute to ancient artistry and enduring cultural heritage. Sculptor Richard Masters and engraver Renata Gordon did a phenomenal job translating this sacred site into coin form. Even on a tiny surface, the gentle contours of the mounds and the surrounding forest evoke a sense of reverence and timelessness. The inscriptions around the design read Effigy Mounds, Iowa, 2017, and the national motto, E Pluribus Unum. On the obverse side, as with all America the Beautiful Quarters, we find the familiar portrait of George Washington by John Flanagan, first used in 1932 but updated for modern minting. Just below Washington's portrait on the obverse, you'll find the all-important mint mark. In this case, the D, standing for the Denver Mint, tells us where the coin was struck. Now, the Denver Mint produced over 248 million of these quarters in 2017, so at first glance, it might seem like a common coin. But as we know in numismatics, rarity isn't always about the total mintage, it's about condition, varieties, and the story behind each individual piece. Let's focus on what it means when we say 2017 Effigy Mounds State Quarter in fine condition. A fine condition coin is one that's been in circulation but still retains most of its key design features. The high points of the design, like the outlines of the mounds, will show some wear, and the fields might have scratches or light smoothing, but the details remain distinct. A fine coin carries the evidence of its journey, maybe it's passed through Iowa, traveled across states, or sat quietly in someone's change jar for years. Collectors often appreciate coins in fine condition because they reflect real history, they've lived a life, so to speak. Unlike mint state coins, which sit untouched in rolls or bags, a circulated fine-grade coin has a tactile authenticity. It represents everyday America, money that's been used, exchanged, and still preserved. But beyond condition, what really grabs collector attention are varieties and errors. And yes, even though the 2017 Effigy Mounds Quarter is relatively modern, there are a few notable ones to look for. Some examples include double dies, die chips, and slight misalignments. One of the most talked about varieties involves doubling on the inscriptions. Look carefully at the lettering around the edge, especially Effigy Mounds and E Pluribus Unum. If you notice any doubling, letters that seem shadowed or slightly shifted, that could indicate a double die error, which can make the coin far more valuable. Another area to examine is the raised outlines of the mounds themselves. Some Denver-struck quarters show extra metal blobs or raised bumps caused by die chips, tiny bits of metal that filled in parts of the die. These aren't always major errors, but they're fun to find and can increase a coin's desirability among collectors who love unique quirks. You might also encounter what's called a die break or cud, where a piece of the die breaks off entirely, leaving a smooth, raised blob of metal along the rim of the coin. These are less common but can significantly raise interest and value depending on size and location. Now, let's talk about market value. Most 2017 Effigy Mounds Quarters in fine condition are worth their face value, 25 cents, but that's not the whole story. As part of a complete set, a fine condition example can be important for collectors who specialize in circulated sets of the America the Beautiful series. More importantly, error varieties and uncirculated examples can fetch anywhere from a few dollars to over $100, depending on rarity and demand. Even a fine condition coin gains collectible charm when you consider what it represents. The Effigy Mounds design is one of the few in American coinage that honors indigenous culture directly, not through European interpretations, but through the preservation of the original sites themselves. It's a coin that carries a deep spiritual and historical weight, reminding us that America's story didn't start in 1776, it stretches back thousands of years. Let's step back and imagine for a moment what these mounds meant to the people who built them. They weren't just burial sites, they were celestial markers, spiritual monuments aligned with stars and seasons. To ancient communities, the landscape itself was sacred. Translating that meaning onto a coin gives collectors something far beyond metal, it gives them a tangible link to humanity's connection with nature and spirit. That's one of the reasons collectors cherish the 2017 Effigy Mounds Quarter. It's not just another design of a mountain, bird, or building, it's an acknowledgement of an ancient people's artistry and reverence for the earth. When you hold one of these quarters, you're not just holding a piece of US currency, you're holding a miniature monument. Now, the D Mint mark, Denver, adds another dimension for collectors. The Denver Mint coins tend to show slightly different strike characteristics compared to those from the Philadelphia Mint. Denver strikes are often sharper, with more pronounced detail, although slight die wear can soften some edges. This makes Denver issues appealing for those who pay attention to strike quality and die states. Let's consider what collectors look for when examining a 2017 Effigy Mounds Quarter in fine condition. First, clarity of the design. Can you still see the outlines of the three bear-shaped mounds and the bird mound? Are the inscriptions legible? Is there still enough relief in Washington's portrait to make out fine lines in the hair? These are all key indicators of grade and value. Another factor is the coin's surface integrity. Even if a coin is worn, collectors prefer even wear and minimal damage. Deep scratches, corrosion, or gouges can drop its desirability. On the other hand, a naturally aged patina, a soft, even toning that comes with circulation, can give the coin personality and appeal. Now let's talk about why this particular design resonates with collectors worldwide. While many of the America the Beautiful quarters feature natural wonders, few have the quiet, meditative energy of the Effigy Mounds design. It doesn't shout, it whispers. Its beauty is subtle and profound, much like the mounds themselves, which rise gently from the earth rather than towering over it. That understated elegance makes it stand out in a series filled with dramatic cliffs, rivers, and mountains. The 2017 Effigy Mounds Quarter invites reflection, it's a moment of calm in the palm of your hand. And here's something truly interesting, many collectors have noted that when viewed under angled light, the mounds on the reverse take on a lifelike texture, as if the earth itself were breathing. It's one of those coins where the artistry continues to reveal itself the more you study it. From a numismatic perspective, the 2017 Effigy Mounds State Quarter marks the beginning of the final chapter of the America the Beautiful series. It was the first issue of 2017 and the 36th overall. That gives it a special place in the timeline, especially for those assembling full-year or full-series collections. So, even in fine condition, the 2017 Effigy Mounds Quarter is a coin worth keeping, not just for its potential value, but for its meaning. It bridges the gap between ancient America and modern minting, between earth and art, between past and present. If you find one in your change, take a moment before you spend it. Look closely at those shapes, the bears, the bird, the flowing lines. Remember that those forms were built by hands long before our time, and now, they live again in metal form. That's the beauty of numismatics, each coin is a conversation across centuries. So, check your change, coin rolls, and quarter collections. You never know what story might be sitting right in your hand. And if you love exploring the stories, art, and hidden treasures behind the coins of America, make sure to hit subscribe and ring that notification bell, because here on Coins Numismatic Series, we don't just look at coins, we uncover history, one piece at a time.